The Volkswagen Group have invested over $5 billion into their operations in Russia. In fact, only a few years ago, Russia was one of its top 5 most important car markets in the world. And then, well, things went bad. Now, the challenge here is to distinguish between the Russian government and the Russian people. Because here, the Russian people are saying, the Volkswagen Group have lied to us. They've operated in bad faith. We signed a contract with them, and 1 year later, they broke that contract. In fact, we signed numerous contracts with them. We invested billions of our own money into the success of this partnership, and then Volkswagen walked away and gave us no options. Not all that long ago, Volkswagen was the leading producer of cars in Russia. Now, Russia has seized Volkswagen Group's assets, and at the same time, China has come into Russia and said, you know what, we'll take over your automotive market, and they've done exactly that. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Electric Viking. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to all the new subscribers, and welcome back, everyone else. Now, today I've discovered something very interesting. Nearly 50% of all cars sold in Russia right now are sold by Chinese car brands. The Chinese don't really care what you do. They just want to sell stuff to you. And they're going to keep doing this no matter where, no matter what happens in that country. It's their plan. So that's a little bit scary. And what is also scary is that countries can do this sort of thing. They can freeze your assets. A Russian court has frozen Volkswagen's assets over a terminated contract. And they're actually demanding $20 million in damages from Volkswagen. Now, this has happened exactly 1 year after the German automaker suspended production in protest of the Ukraine invasion. Volkswagen has 2 factories based in Russia, and it's been trying to sell its Russian assets off over the past year. You can imagine these factories cost them billions of dollars to manufacture. Not just the factory itself, but the production lines, training the staff, getting all the facilities up and running. Now, the Kaluga factory builds the Volkswagen Tiguan, or well did, the Polo, the Audi Q7 and the Audi Q8, while their Nizhny Novgorod assembles the Tau and Skoda models. So they have 3 brands that were manufacturing in Russia: Skoda, Audi and Volkswagen. All of these vehicles were manufactured for the Russian market, meaning the plant closures didn't affect the United States or Canada or any North American sales. However, Russian automaker GAZ, who are contracted to build Volkswagens at its factory, have filed a lawsuit saying that Volkswagen has seriously damaged its interest in Russia. Therefore, GAZ or GAZ demands 15.6 billion rubles, which is actually $201 million in compensation. $201 million. Basically, the only way that Volkswagen Group can ever sell cars or build cars in Russia ever again is to pay out $201 million to their joint venture partner. Not surprisingly, a Russian court responded by freezing Volkswagen's assets in the country until Volkswagen make a settlement with GAZ. To be fair, Volkswagen should make a settlement. It's completely unfair to leave this company in this situation. I mean, GAZ, they're not a state-owned company. As far as anyone knows, they have nothing to do with the Russian government. They didn't cause this to happen. Volkswagen Group decided to stop making cars in Russia. Do I agree with that? Yes, I do agree with that. But it was still their decision. Therefore, they have put GAZ in a terrible position. Basically said to the employees of this company, to the owners of the company, too bad, so sad. You're worth nothing now. Now, I understand why Volkswagen Group did that, but it doesn't mean that this shouldn't carry ramifications. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be held responsible. That's what I think. Let me know if you agree or you disagree. We're aware of the claim from GAZ. Of course, Volkswagen have been aware of this for a long time and are familiarizing ourselves with the case materials, Volkswagen said in a statement. The GAZ Group, which owns the plant, also has 18 other manufacturing facilities across Russia. It's been sanctioned by the US since 2018. And last June, Volkswagen offered employees a buyout plan to quit their jobs voluntarily. That said, the buyout plan wasn't really all that favorable. Volkswagen, however, has continued to negotiate with Russian officials to sell its stake in Volkswagen Group Rus, including the Kaluga factory. This is clearly a case of a nation working to protect its economic interests, but Volkswagen, along with other automakers, has a strong case of its own. Western nations have imposed harsh sanctions on Russia following its deadly and devastating Ukraine invasion. Doing business in a country that attacked its neighbor without provocation, says carbuzz.com, is not a good look. Now, I don't believe that it's without provocation entirely. I think there's definitely a bit of provocation there. Does it justify them attacking them? Well, that's a completely different story. The Russian auto industry has been hit badly by the West sanctions because it relies on Western investment, including parts and equipment, to build the vehicles. And the Chinese have come along and said, well, okay, we'll take their place. More than happy to take their place. And that's exactly what's happened. As Volkswagen works to end its Russian market activities, its Skoda subsidiary has confirmed its closure, and it's close to striking a deal with Russia to sell off its local assets. Other automakers suspended business in Russia a year ago. Examples include Aston Martin, which wasn't really selling cars there anyway, Ford, General Motors, Jaguar Land Rover, and Volvo. Several manufacturers also sold their Russian operations for a single euro, with the option of buying them back at the same price within a few years, which seems unlikely to actually happen. Porsche suspended local production of its Macan and Panamera models due to a parts shortage from Ukraine. Companies from other countries have applied sanctions to Russia, and they're now viewed as unfriendly and must gain approval from a Russian government commission to sell their assets. So right now, Volkswagen Group, the only way they'll ever be able to do business again in Russia or any Russian territories would be to pay a $201 million fine. The key reason for this is simply because they have basically left their partner there in Russia high and dry. And like I said, this is not the Russian government. This is just, the average person in Russia doesn't agree with the war. So you can't really blame them. I think a lot of people in Russia here are getting unfairly targeted, sports players, etc. They have nothing to do with it. They're not condoning the war. They're not walking around saying, "Hey, we want to kill Ukraine, death to Ukraine." I think realistically, the average Russian person does want to get rid of Vladimir Putin. So I'm not sure why Volkswagen Group think it's reasonable to basically put their business partner in this situation. Probably the better thing to do would be to say, you know what, we understand what's happened. Let's work something out. Those are my thoughts though. Let me know yours in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.